Hi, I'm Nisha Ganatra. I was born in Vancouver, Canada, and I'm a writer-director. When I was younger, I aspired to be Madonna. I think that was what I aspired to be. And then my mom quickly put an end to that and said, here are your three choices: doctor, lawyer, engineer. And I was like, Although she was a nurse and she was like, don't be a doctor. She didn't like sort of living all her days in the hospital. And I think she also felt like she worked really hard and became a nurse so she could come to this country and give us opportunities. So she didn't want to see us just sort of perpetuating what she did. Even though she didn't know it, I think even by being unsupportive at times, she was secretly supportive because she would make me aware of how much I wanted it. If I ever had a moment where I said, this is incredibly difficult and I don't know if it's going to work out, she'd say, just don't do that then, and it just made you realize, oh my God, what? I'm not giving up. No, I can't do that. So even when she didn't know she was being my biggest supporter, she was, but she has been really supportive of the fact that I'm not following a traditional path. I remember there was it was another one of those Year of the Women, like Hollywood decided it was the Year of the Women. It's in the 90s, and I remember reading these magazines, and Meryl Streep and Glenn Close were talking about how there were no opportunities for women and how they were having a really hard time finding roles. And I remember just thinking, oh my God, if they're having a hard time, what am I gonna do? I didn't see any Indian actresses in those magazines saying, I get to do whatever I want to do as well. So I kind of thought, let me just tell stories and then create roles. I had a group of friends that were really politically active, and we had gone to Washington, D.C. We went to the March on Washington. And I remember there were so many people at the March on Washington, and everybody was marching. It was for gay rights, and we were all there. And then, the next day the newspaper said 10,000 people showed up. It was some horrifyingly misrepresentation at a lower number. And Friends had a lesbian wedding on their TV show, and everybody was talking about lesbian weddings. And I remember thinking, wow, you can really shift culture if you tell stories in television. That medium is so much more powerful. For me, as a sort of political activist, it seemed like this will be a much faster way to affect change in our culture. So my first movie was Chutney Popcorn, and it really came from this desire to just represent Indian Americans on the screen. I had seen lots of movies with Indian people, I had seen movies with Indian people with accents, but I hadn't seen an American family that was Indian, like a real Indian American family that just grew up here, and that wasn't part of the dilemma, the plot of the movie. And my co-writer, Susan Carnival, was having the same problem with lesbian movies. She was like, every lesbian movie I see is people coming out and, the heartache of being a lesbian and trying to negotiate that identity. And so we both decided that we would combine our stories and that we could stand on the shoulders of all of those who came before us and not tell the story of coming out and not tell the story of how hard it is to be Indian. So it was interesting because I actually made that movie, which is a lot about my feeling of not being a part of the Indian American community because of being a lesbian. And then that movie came out and was so embraced by the Indian American community. And I think probably because there's so few representations that it was so incredibly embraced. And I would go to these screenings and these festivals, and I'd be so afraid because all these uncles and aunties would be lined up in the theater, and I was like, oh God, they're going to be really disappointed. And everybody would say, oh, we're so proud of you, oh, we love this movie. And I was so genuinely shocked and stunned. And then I realized, oh, we just don't have enough stories, and we just haven't told them enough, and there's so little to choose from. And weirdly, this movie that I made about not feeling a part of the Indian community made me a huge part of the Indian community, and actually a spokesperson for the Indian community. And it was kind of a beautiful healing journey that it all came full circle like that. So I just finished directing a movie called Late Night, which premiered at Sundance, and it stars Mindy Kaling and Emma Thompson. Kim Yutani's the head programmer at Sundance this year, and she made it the first year that the festival had, I think, 50% people of color and women represented in the films. And it was a pretty stellar year because just thinking of how when Chutney Popcorn came out, I had to meet with distributors, and they were either concerned that it was too Indian or too gay, or who was going to see it and how do we market it. And that's something we've never seen. That's really hard. Going back with late night, the whole feeling was, hey, we've never seen this before. That's amazing. Let's buy it. And it broke records. It was the highest sale that Sundance has ever made. It was a pretty exciting year. So lately, I've been directing a lot of television, and I've been lucky enough to do some amazing television shows. And one thing that happens on set is often the first AD will yell out the word action. And I often lean on the first AD to do that because I just don't have a very loud voice. But what happened was I was directing an episode of television and I said the word action, and the crew kind of turned towards me. And after I said cut, some women came up from different departments and they said, this is the first time I've ever heard a female voice say the word action. And they had been working in this industry for decades. And so once I realized that happened, and I said, oh my God, that's so moving and sad and inspiring all in the same way. So now I feel like it's a political act just to have a female voice and say the word action, and I don't lean on the first AD, unless it's a female first AD, to say it, because I realize just the more I say it, the more people will get used to hearing a woman in the director's seat, and then the more it'll be normal in our industry.